In this CameraRC tutorial, we are going to cover shooting and saving images with CameraRC. Capturing images with CameraRC can be started in three ways. First, I can use a capture button on the program. The second way would be to use a shutter release button on the camera. And a third way would be to use a control key sequence from the keyboard to initiate the capture. In all cases, the images are automatically transferred to the computer as part of the image capture process. You will notice that when the capture is initiated, the capture button turns black and will turn silver again when ready to start another capture. This is true even when the capture is started at the camera. Something to be aware of when shooting is that it is important to keep the viewfinder covered in bright light out of the viewfinder when initiating the capture. If bright light enters through the viewfinder, it can lead to incorrectly exposed images. Your camera probably came with an eyepiece cap that can be used for this purpose. As I mentioned earlier, you can use a control key sequence to start the capture. The default key sequence is to press the Control and the X key at the same time. You can change the key sequence by going to the Options 1 tab and then entering a new key sequence. So let's try and see how that works. I go to Options 1 tab and then I'm going to press the Set Capture Key button. This will bring up a dialog box. In this dialog box I follow the directions. It says to click the mouse on the square below. That makes it go green, so I know I'm ready to start entering my key sequence. Now I can enter my new key sequence. I'm going to use Control and A. I have to re-enter the key sequence, and as you can see, it accepts that. And now if I go and press Control and A, I get an exposure. CameraRC allows you to shoot multiple images continuously by increasing the shot count. The number of continuous shots is currently limited to 22. When set to multiple image shots, the camera will initiate and shoot all of those with one press of the capture button. So I'm going to set the capture shot count to 3. Then I'm going to trigger the shot count. You'll probably hear the camera firing. And it shoots at whatever speed I'm set to on the camera. Here I'm set to continuous low. You should notice that the shot count does not have any effect if I'm shooting from the camera. So if I use the shutter release button, it will not shoot 3 times even if the shot count is set to 3. Some controls are not normally changeable by the program. This is because they are physical buttons that are located on the camera. An example is the exposure mode control button with the the exposure mode control on the D40, or the metering mode and shooting mode settings on a D300, which we'll show here. To change these controls, you must either change them manually at the camera, or you can lock the camera, which will enable those to be changed as well. When you lock the camera, you can no longer interact at the camera itself, and that includes shooting using the shutter release button. As you can see, the metering mode here can now be changed to a different setting, for example, spot, and that will stay that way until I unlock the camera. When I unlock the camera, you'll see it go back to its original setting. There's also some other controls that are grayed out over here on the capture tab. These are for the shutter speed and aperture. That's because my exposure mode is programmed, and these cannot be set in that mode, though the flexible program can be used. If I now switch to aperture mode, you'll see that I can change the aperture, but the flexible program mode becomes disabled. I'm not going to go over the controls on the other controls on the Capture tab or on the Capture settings and image settings. These are all important settings for related to your exposure, including things like the color space that you're shooting in, the image size, the image quality, etc. If you need more details on these, I recommend that you look them up in your camera manual. So the last thing I'm going to cover related to shooting is the focus points. Here we can, being able to set the focus point requires us to be in focus area mode of either single or dynamic. Here we're not in that mode, so if we try to change or set a focus point, you'll see we'll get a warning telling us that we need to be in that mode, and we'll be alerted to the need to change that. Since we're on a D300, this cannot be changed except if the camera's locked, so I'm going to enter lock the camera, and now I can set this to single mode, and now I can go set a focus point, let's say up here to the left, and if I shoot, you'll see that I've gotten an upper left focus point for that image. We'll unlock the camera again. The last thing I'm going to cover in this tutorial is saving images. First thing I want you to notice is on the options 1, we've had this Save Images on Capture checkbox set all along. Thus, all the images I've captured for this tutorial have been automatically saved as they are captured. Now we'll look at where the images are saved. You set the image save locations using the Save Details tab up here at the top. On the Save Details tab, you can set up the file path and the file name that are going to be used. The default save path is to the My Pictures folder. You can change the folder used for saving images by clicking on the folder icon to the right of the file path. You can then set whatever folder you want. I'm going to still leave it in My Pictures, and that's where it will be. As images are saved, they are each given a unique sequence number in the selected directory. You can set the number of digits in the sequence number here, and you can set the starting number for the sequence. The start number can be just typed in, so if I want to change, if we look here, up till now we've been, as you can see, 0809. If we want to change to sequence start at 100, we can do that, and if we capture an image, we'll see that this one's going to show up with image 100. Notice that at the present, images are not saved on the memory card, but are only uploaded to the computer for saving, so it's very important that you make sure images are saved as they are captured. Finally, if you've not been saving images on Capture, you can save them later. We're going to go over that process real quickly. So first I'm going to clear out all these saved images just so they're not there. And we'll go to the options 1 and we'll turn off the Save Images on Capture, and we'll capture a couple images. Now that we have a couple images to save, we'll select those images, and we'll press the Save Images button, and you can see that they were immediately saved with the names given. So that's about it for shooting and saving. Please see our next tutorial to learn about CameraRC and how to shoot with it for live view.